sleep. When any kind of moisture gets to it, it starts to tear up. Proper technique to put it on the house is to pre-drill. You as an engineer ought to realize this. Pre-drill the hole so the weld just snugs it. And you don't overheat it because then you crush the outside.
Wow.
Anywhere you fracture it.
I bet every place is put up is.
We'd like to call this meeting to order. We're getting on time tonight. May 1st, 2017, Mayor and City Council meeting. I will ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing. Justin Cordell, Youth Minister at Bethany Christian Church, will be giving the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you for a time we can come together, Lord, and talk about improvements in the city. God, give recognition of things going on in the city. God, we thank you for the citizens who live here, our city employees, Father. We pray for everyone's safety. God, we thank you for that. Lord, I just ask you to put your hand on this meeting, guide the meeting, let what needs to be said, Lord, and done through these meetings, God, come to fruition in you, Father. We thank you for that. We thank you for your Son, most of all, what he did on the cross for us, giving up his life to save ours, Lord. We thank you for that. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. It gets us down to item number 4, citizens' comments. Is there anyone here that would like to address the council? If If you do, would you please limit your comments to 3 minutes? Please state your name and address. I think we'll have opportunity when we get down to that, John. Anyone else?
Jim, can you turn that mic on, please? It's on. Oh, is it on?
Charles William Lassiter Jr., 187 Lassiter Road. I was born in the city for 5 years, moved over to the country. I'm working on a project in the town, in the city limits of a store and whatever protocol we come to respond to that.
I don't understand. Which I'm responding.
Yes, sir, a water line and a name change of the street.
I've not had a conversation with you about it. I don't know what your needs are. If it's something you want to, I'd be glad to meet with you. Normally, this is not something that would come to the council. Is this the property you own on Rome Street? I can tell you, I don't see any scenario where we're going to change the name of Rome Street. I mean, that's up to this council, but that would be quite a substantial move to accommodate one commercial building. What's the other issue?
It's the end of Rome Street, and it is confusing when you hang the dog leg back into 27.
Okay. Well, again, I'd be happy to meet with you. I don't know the issues at all. It's unusual for someone to come to the council. I'd be happy to make a time and meet with you if you'd like to do that and go over whatever your needs are.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank.
Maybe a little bit before the agenda. The name is Robert McMillan, 232 Bridge Drive, owner of Preston Avenue. I'm here. I want to make sure I don't miss, I guess, it's item 7 or 6. I'm opposed to any changes at this point without some discussion or some contact with the city about the proposed changes at this point. So please make sure I don't miss it when you bring the agenda up. Yes, sir. Thank you much.
Yes, sir. Is there anyone else? I can barely hear you, man. I don't know if that mic's on or not. I don't think it's working, Jim.
As I was saying, is it possible, I understand if you're in private property, there's a limit to what can be done. But is it possible that sidewalks be put on both sides in Mizzier Lane as well as in Brixton Circle, which would make it easier for individual receptacles for trash removal? But not only that, it would give the children a place to skateboard, roller skate, jump rope, and whatnot without being in the middle of the street. And
We've done some things. I'll be glad.
Ma'am, we've done some over there, but we'll look into it and see, but it is private property.
I do want to let you know, we did, several years ago, we had a very heavy police presence about the garbage, and that had gotten a little lax, and so we've tightened that up. There were a lot of tickets written this week. The police went out there, we sent crews out to clean up, and did not bill everyone for that, or not going to bill everybody for that cycle. I'm talking about this upcoming cycle now. This was done just in the last few days, and new signs put on the dumpsters. We also had some meetings with some of the property owners of some of that vacant property, and there was actually some talk about, and there's several different owners out there, but there was actually some preliminary talk about them donating some of that property to the city. So if they did, it might be possible to do some of the things that you've asked for. So there are things in the works out there, and you're not forgotten. I just want you to know that. So we are working on
Thank you.
those
I
things.
appreciate that because I brought some pictures. I want you to see the 3 small receptacles for them 78 units, and we're talking about the 78 units have 5 bedrooms each. A lot of children, okay? Them 3 little receptacles are not sufficient, and I brought pictures to show what it looked like on a Monday, what it looked like on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday, I stayed up because I was told they generally come early in the morning. 5 after 3, a garbage truck arrived, and it was going past my place at 10 after 3, okay? And usually the total amount assessed for that area is, $780? It came up to $1,560 this month. I take care of my garbage. I don't have any, my children, grandchildren, everybody's grown. But I refused to pay that extra $10. And I received a call from, I think her name was Becky, letting me know that everybody was assessed that amount of money and that I could not refuse to pay it. But like I told her, I don't want any late fees assessed on that $10 because I refuse to pay it.
Mrs. Johnson,
Okay.
Mrs. Johnson, when were these pictures taken?
Monday,
Like, yeah,
Tuesday.
a week ago.
No, this past week.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Does it still look like that now?
No. Today it's looking better.
Good.
I went down there, it's looking better, but
I wouldn't want to live near that.
but it's Monday.
Yeah.
And the trash was done today.
So
Okay.
yesterday.
So that's why it looks better today.
Oh.
The trash was done. It's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But I have not, like I said, I stayed up Wednesday, and they did come at 5 after. And that truck was leaving at 10 after. If you look at the real bad pictures, that was Wednesday, okay? Because later on in the day, like about 3 o'clock, I went and took them pictures. And it's my understanding from Becky that with trash like that, the garbage, they're not going to pick up and empty the dumpsters. That's why it probably just left.
So
But,
based on your complaints to us, would you say it's better now?
No.
Oh, it's not better now. Okay, so, and I'd just like to ask city staff too, how often are those, Mike, if you don't mind, how often are the dumpsters being emptied in her name? Because I don't even know when mine are.
Becky told me Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And residents, when I was doing the initial petition, they told me it's supposed to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but they don't do it.
Okay, I want to ask you another question too. Are those dumpsters full? Because I noticed there's a lot of trash on the. We need an Elmo so everybody can see it on the screen. But are those full?
Sometimes, like I've been checking it, since I've lived there, which is
But,
only.
see, I'm asking you-
Sometimes the dumpsters are full. Sometimes you can see the trash, but you can tell that some people, probably the bigger kids,
Ah.
are trying to toss it. That's why there's a lot of garbage in
That's
the
what I
back
was
of
about
the
to ask.
dumpsters.
So the big bags of trash that are all over the ground out there, is that just from people not feeling like putting it into the dumpster? Or is it because the
This
dumpsters
time, those pictures on Wednesdays, when I told you that the truck did not empty trash, I wonder myself if that was like a deliberate, like if they were trying to make a point. I don't know. I don't know. But when I took the pictures, there were trash in the dumpsters, trash up to where you could see the trash. But you could have still, you know, somebody taller, at least my height, they could have still got some more
Okay,
garbage
so-
on the top.
But what I'm trying to understand is, were the trash bags put on the ground because they were full? Is that why, or are people just saying like, I don't feel like putting the trash into the trash can? You think it might be a little bit of both?
I think so.
Okay, so let me ask you this: can you or have you formed a homeowners association to address
The
those
thing
issues?
about homeowners association is there's only a handful of homeowners that live there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the others, it's my understanding, there's an investment group.
Well, maybe a neighborhood association instead of a homeowners association, where you can go from door to door. Maybe you're president, from door to door and maybe talk to them and say, look, when you throw your trash in the...
I did that, and I got together with the kids
Gerald,
Thursday.
can
I
you-
got
can
together
you set
with
up
the
a time
kids,
with her?
and I talked to them, and you know about the need to not be littering. And
Okay, and Mayor
what
Hollingsworth,
the-
I just want to interject one more thing. Like the basketball goals and tires and stuff like that, Mike, could we at least have those sort of things removed from around the trash can? Because some of them have like trees growing through them and things like that. Okay, thank you, Mayor Hollingsworth.
All right, thank you very much.
Mayor, Council, my name is Michael Winslet, and my wife and I operate a business on Presbyterian Avenue. The address is 104 Presbyterian Avenue, and I'd also like to propose an alternative solution to an item on the agenda as number 6 during that time.
Thanks, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Mark Albertus, Superintendent at the City Schools. 3 things tonight. First, I appreciate you guys recognizing our junior high basketball team. Thank you. They've worked hard. The girls have really worked hard, and I appreciate you celebrating with them tonight. Second thing, about a month ago, Mr. Grizzard called me and reached out, and he said that you guys would be willing to sit down with our Board of Education and talk about planning and talk about long-term planning and vision for both entities, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys' willingness to do that, and we'll definitely put some traction behind it and come up with a date or two that we could get together and talk, because we're on the same team, and I appreciate your guys' attitude toward that. And then the third thing is, I'm going to have to leave here in a little bit after we recognize the basketball team and go to an honors night at the junior high that's at the same time as this meeting. But I wanted to point out that I appreciate all the hard work that Mr. Tommy Holland has done in working with FEMA and getting us some reimbursement grants for the culvert on Ben Scott. You know, Ben Scott goes through our campus, and at the turn there, the culvert has been damaged by both of our 200-year floods that we've had in the last 9 years. And so we appreciate the Band-Aid that we've put on it to be able to function, but I appreciate his hard work and diligence in cutting through the red tape and bureaucracy and getting some of that reimbursed. And I know you guys will have some discussion later in the meeting about it, but thank you for making it a priority. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Is there anyone else? Seeing no hands, we'll move along. Item number 5, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the agenda as set forth, excluding item number 3, which has been withdrawn.
We need to get to number 5 first. We got to approve the minutes from previous meeting, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'll withdraw my motion.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Item number 6, approval of agenda of items for consideration.
I just will restate my previous motion.
Have a motion to exclude item number 3 after being withdrawn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Item number 1, Gerald, recognition Carrollton Junior High School Ladies Trojan Basketball Team.
Thank you, Walt, and thank you to the rest of the council and city staff as well for supporting me and honoring these young ladies. I would like to ask the young ladies to stand at this time. And if anyone's connected to them in any kind of way, could you please stand as well as we honor them today? Thank you. Let's give them a hand.
Gerald, can I ask a question? As you call their names, can you get them to come down inside right here? Right
Sure. Yes, that was my plan. We're going to have you ladies line up in front of us right here for a photo opportunity. Let me also say this too. We have a certificate for all of you that we're going to send to your teacher, or your coach rather, Miss Ashley Strickland. And it'll be signed by both me and the mayor. And we applaud you and we thank you for representing our city so well. And we thank you. I'm going to read the proclamation. This is from the Office of the Mayor, Carrollton, Georgia, Certificate of Recognition. Let me say I did not pre-read this, so bear with me if there's some big words. I might miss them. That was supposed to be funny. Thank you, people. Certificate of Recognition, May 1st, 2007. Carrollton Junior High School Lady Trojans Basketball Team, West Georgia Middle School Championship 2017. Whereas the Carrollton Junior High School Lady Trojans basketball team has represented the Carrollton City School System in the 2017 West Georgia Middle School Championship. And whereas the Carrollton Junior High School Lady Trojans basketball team won the 2017 West Georgia Middle School Championship title. Baby, come on, people. Wake up out there. They could have been doing a lot of other things, but they were winning championships. That's what I'm talking about. And whereas the Carrollton Junior High School Lady Trojans basketball team have won the last 5, let me say that number again, 5 consecutive West Georgia Middle School championships in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. Man, we were in our 30s back then. And whereas it gives the mayor and council a tremendous amount of pleasure and pride to express all the members of, I told you I didn't reread this, and pride to express to all the members of the 2017 Carrollton Junior High School Lady Trojans basketball team, coaches, parents, friends, and fans, our sincere congratulations and continuing the winning tradition of West Georgia Middle School champs. And whereas each of you are to be commended for an exciting, hard-fought, and successful season for which we are proud of the record you have earned, as well as the fine publicity you have brought to Carrollton. And therefore, the mayor and council are pleased to publicly recognize the following members of the Carrollton Junior High School Lady Trojans basketball team, 2017 West Georgia Middle School champions. And again, let's give them a hand. And Dr. Albertus, I'm going to call them one at a time. And please forgive me these modern names. I may not know how to pronounce some of them. Like Marnaja. Come on, help me out now. Daniel, let's give her a hand. This is a basketball game. Let's, come on. Woo. Don't y'all do that at basketball games? Shamar Yvonne. Dr. Albertus, I need your help. Kendi Albaz. What? Just say it. I have no idea. I mean, no disrespect, but I just cannot pronounce modern names. Egosa Abasui. I know it. I told you, man. Deja Crowder. Come on, Deja. Jade Adams. Come on, Jade. Samara Glenn. Kanija Daniel. Molly Lanier. I can say that one. Trinity Pledge. Oh my God. Akiria Lockett. Leilana Rivera. Peyton Musselwhite. I can say that one. I remember when she was a baby. Drew Mackenzie Green. And our coach, Sonny Passmore. Miss Passmore, my friend. And let me say this too. Our head coach is Ashley Strickland. And let me say, Ashley, you have done a fine job as an educator at Carrollton City Schools. And Dr. Albertus, if I may, I would like to bid you a farewell, but we hope to see you again. She's moving away. What country are you moving to? Abu Dhabi. And she's going to teach there. So we applaud you and we send you off with our good graces. And we know you'll teach those children well. Let us get a picture with y'all. We don't want to break the camera, though. Come on.
You want to stand in front of them? Mr. Pro Tem, what age group is this? 13, 14, okay. 12, 13, 14, okay.
y'all for letting us do that. 5 years in a row. Whew. Should be a pretty short meeting.
Moving ahead, Miss Erica Studdard, rezoning request.
Just one second. The second item on your agenda is a rezoning request at 809 Fertilis Street, and the request is to rezone the property from R15 to R10 with the intent of splitting the lot and actually doing an infill housing, single-family house on the additional lot that's created. The Planning Commission reviewed this request in April, and they recommended approval with the following condition: that no vinyl siding shall be used on the newly constructed house. I would like to note that the request also includes a waiver from the applicant to reduce the minimum lot width from 60 feet to 49 feet.
And this comes with approval.
Yes, the Planning Commission recommended approval.
Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to draw, it was unanimous approval from the Planning Commission.
Yes.
So unanimous
Yes.
from the Planning Commission. I'd like to make a motion we accept. Anybody here would like to speak for or against? Seeing none,
I'll second the mayor's motion.
everybody in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Stuttered again. Resolution 052017.
The fourth item on your agenda it's really more of a housekeeping item. As you may recall, in July of 2016, the Arts Department actually split up from the Parks and Recreation Department. If you recall, in our ordinance, it has them combined, and what this does basically is this creates new ordinance language to address basically the Arts Center independently. As you may recall, there's currently a recreation commission, but there's not a council-appointed arts commission. This particular ordinance change also creates that, where you guys will appoint arts commission members just as you would appoint recreation and planning and historic preservation commission members. And I'm available for questions if you've had a chance to go through it, or I can go through it in detail, whichever one you prefer.
So Eric, this now becomes an official board versus what I served on before at the Arts Center.
Correct. Right now, it's the Arts Alliance, and they function more like a volunteer group. And this right here then becomes an official board appointed by the mayor and city council.
And they won't be paid, no? Right?
No, they're unpaid.
Okay, good.
Now, I will say that we engage with the arts community oftentimes with contracts and that sort of stuff. And so sometimes there may be someone that has contracted labor with the arts board that may potentially be on the arts commission, but they'd be making no financial decisions, just recommendations.
How many members on the commission?
There are 12. And what we try to do is we would hope that you guys would attempt to have kind of all pillars kind of represented. And what I mean by that is we have a pretty strong writers organization. We have a strong choral organization, a strong theater group, and then we also have a strong artist guild. And currently on the Arts Alliance, each of those entities is represented. If you look at the resolution on page 46, you'll see basically the first board members. They're 3-year appointments. These first members are staggered 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year, so that we don't have everybody rolling off all at once.
Are we going to take suggestions from any of these 4 guilds, Writers Guild, or
currently, as the proposed board members that are listed on page 46 are proposed, each of those are basically represented.
in those proposed recommendations.
Are we voting on the board tonight, or?
Everything's adopted tonight, yes.
That's what I was about to ask. Do we have to pick the individuals tonight? We're just saying we're going to form this board officially.
The individuals are actually noted on page 46, the very end of the resolution. Would you like for me to go through them individually?
That would be nice.
Okay. What we've done is we've tried to pull some from the existing Arts Alliance so that we have a little bit of a history, and then we also tried to pull some new members to have kind of some fresh blood, and I think we've accomplished that. What we've got for the following persons shall be appointed to the Arts Commission effective July 1st, 2017. Linda Fulford, Deidre Rouse, Jackie Fillingham, and Michelle Morgan for 1-year terms. Penny Ayers, Jill Duncan, Dee Dee Murphy, and Jennifer Green for 2-year terms. Mike Kinney, Jenna Blair, Brandy Barker, and Adam Hinman for 3-year terms. So that's some of the existing Arts Alliance, and then that's also some new individuals.
And those individuals are in agreement with the formation of this board?
We went over it with the Arts Alliance on Thursday of last week, so they are aware this is occurring, and they are aware why it's occurring.
Okay.
I will say that we didn't get into details at the larger meeting with the proposed, basically, board members. We have spoken with some of the leadership at the Arts Alliance about the proposed board members because we wanted to make sure that everyone was represented.
Oh, and one more time, you may have said it, I'm daydreaming, I'm sorry, but the purpose of the board is to?
Basically, strategic planning, make recommendations. You guys are kind of in the capacity of adopting a budget, and they are in that capacity of executing that mission, that greater mission. This last year, we had I guess it was in January, we had our first strategic planning session of the Arts Alliance, where we basically set our kind of our agenda for the next 12 months based off of that strategic planning session.
Mm-hmm.
You'll actually see in front of you some of our summer camp programming.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see some of, and that's basically through the efforts of the strategic planning that we developed that programming.
We have a chairman on this because I thought Jill was coming in as the.
If you leave it as is now, the way the ordinance is written, they would elect their own chairman from within, which is how the Planning Commission does it currently and how the Board of Development appeals. If you leave it as is, our current president is Dee Dee Murphy, and the discussion is we would leave her as president until July, and then in July she would roll off. The current president-elect is Jill Duncan, and she would roll into Dee Dee's position in July should you adopt the board or appoint the board as recommended.
Well, I think that's a good, strong group, and if I may make a motion to, what item number is it? I'm sorry, Erica. Oh, number 4. To pass Resolution 5-2017, the Arts Commission and Parks and Recreation Commission.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor of adopting Resolution 05217, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Resolution 06217, Omnibus Unified Development Ordinance Amendments.
This Unified Development Ordinance Amendment is a direct reflection of what you reviewed at your joint work session with the Planning Commission in March. If you recall, I think it was March 28th. This particular ordinance resolution and amendment really stems from probably about 18 months of work that we've done, I guess, since the beginning of January of last year regarding multifamily housing. I won't get into this in detail, but essentially it establishes additional multifamily zoning districts. None of these districts would be in place on the map, so it does not require the adoption of a new zoning map, but someone could potentially come in and apply for these district designations. It creates an R10 and an R15. The 10 and the 15 represent the density per acre. It also establishes a multifamily redevelopment overlay. This is going to be adopted in the text of the ordinance, and at some point you may want to add this overlay to certain portions of the zoning map, but you won't do that this evening. And what this does is it gives a density bonus for redevelopment of existing multifamily housing stock. What this does is this ensures that we're kind of regenerating our housing stock versus just abandoning the old and going out another mile further and building new. It also creates a floating zone, a senior housing floating zone. And what that does is it sets aside basically a set of standards for senior housing. This is one thing that the Board of Realtors ask that we do. It signifies to the market that there are potential clients that we are open to that type of multifamily housing, and it gives a set of guidelines that they need to follow if that's what they're wanting to do. There are a few housekeeping items also included in this resolution concerning accessory structures and side setbacks.
Eric, I have a question about housing. I received a phone call today, and Tim and Chuck, maybe you guys can help me with this one. This lady told me she wanted to build a house in Carrollton, and she said that she could not build one unless it was 3,000 square feet or more. Do we have an...
That's not true.
Okay, well, she called me upset about that, and I'm like, when did we pass that ordinance?
We didn't.
Then you have to push my house. I mean, I wouldn't be able to build a new house because...
she may be in a neighborhood that has a covenant that says that. But
do you know what neighborhood she's in?
She was trying to build a house.
Okay.
And she was like, well, we can't build a house because it has to be 3,000 square feet or more. Okay, I just wanted to clear that up.
It could be a covenant, but we don't regulate covenants.
Okay, good.
So.
I just wanted to clear that up on tape, so thank you.
Okay.
Gerald, I think it's 1250 minimum square footage.
1250 minimum, which means with the trend of tiny houses going up everywhere, and I'm very interested in tiny houses and decreasing my carbon footprint, I think we need to look at that. Mm-hmm.
you had an advocate at the podium.
Okay, good, good.
So I think you'll see things trend that way.
You may recall that you approved a zoning. I'm going to ask him because he's here. When did you get approved?
March.
Maybe about 6 months ago. And they actually specifically asked for a waiver to do some smaller homes. And the reason why is they're testing that market. And I fully agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that is kind of the trend.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll see more and more requests from that. At some point, we may need to address it via the ordinance.
Yep.
For now, people are just making that request when they come in for rezonings. But I 100% agree with you.
Okay, good.
I'm a tiny house advocate. If you had a chance to go to the Sustainability Expo, they had one on display that was fabulous.
I saw one at Rockefeller Center when I was there, and it was amazing too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Lamont Luther built some locally, and they had one of theirs at the expo.
that's awesome.
Erica, I see that in section 4.02.02 on page 60, and section, which is A, architectural standards, and then design standards for industrial redevelopment, which is at 4.02.04 at page 61, about vinyl siding may not be used. Have you received any negative responses about us possibly including that in this from any builders or anybody in construction?
I think you're going to hear from one in just a second. So yes, he also is behind me. But I have received some negative responses. I'll tell you that the Planning Commission, most of them were pretty passionate about it. I think that was very similar in the work session if you had an opportunity to attend the work session. We did go ahead and include that in the ordinance after the work session. I will tell you that the Planning Commission wanted to make sure that it didn't affect any existing homes, like if they needed to repair them or if they were building a detached garage and they wanted to match it to the existing structure. And then also they wanted it to be able to be used for soffits and cornices and those types of architectural treatments on the house. So they did include a few specific provisions for that. But you're absolutely right. Some people love vinyl.
How many, I know there's not a tremendous amount of builders left, but how many people, I'm not looking for the number of people that had a negative response to this.
I've specifically spoken to one.
Okay. No more than one?
I've only spoken to one.
Okay.
Now,
what about your office? Has your office received any in addition to one?
The one I've spoken with is here tonight.
Here,
If he wants to speak.
Man, I think most individuals don't know this is going in, so they wouldn't know to confront us about the issue as far as construction cost without it being brought forward in a public comment way. And most end consumers don't realize it till they're consuming at the end. I'm with Med. I'm all in favor of the rest of it, but I've got an issue with the vinyl being excluded going forward.
I did want to note, you asked about builders. Penny Houston's on our planning commission, and that's actually why she basically wasn't in favor of the motion. So I think she would feel comfortable with me speaking on
Because it passed unanimously except for her vote.
Correct.
Yeah.
But she wasn't upset with the rest of it. She really feels like vinyl is an appropriate solution in certain circumstances. So
She likes vinyl. Penny
yes,
does?
she does.
I'd just like to say we had a great work session with the input from the Board of Realtors, and working with the Planning Commission was extremely informative for me to hear their points of views, where they're coming from in terms of changing this ordinance. So being able to have that healthy discussion in that room, I just want to applaud Erica and the rest of the city staff and the Planning Commission and Mayor and Council for helping put that together, because it's very beneficial to have that. Speaking about the vinyl siding, I know I'm looking at the new homes that are getting built over in North Point Grand and Stonecrest. Those none of those buildings are, none of those new structures are currently getting built with vinyl. It seems the trend has shifted away from it to more of a concrete hardy plank type, and I personally I like the look of that, and I think it speaks to more of a traditional sort of house that looks like it's going to stick around a little longer. So I'm in favor of that provision.
Have you had time to reach out to other communities to see if this is a growing trend here in West Georgia, where vinyl is not being permitted?
I have not checked with other communities in West Georgia regarding vinyl. No. I can, but I have not.
Are there any still? I don't know.
Is anyone want to? I know, John, you asked to speak to this issue. So.
My name is John Denny. I live at 2345 Hayes Mill Road, Carrollton. I've got a few pictures. First of all, I want to commend both you guys, the staff, and the planning board. There's a lot of things in this thing that I thought needed to be done. It's just a very progressive, and I just commend you for the work, and think you've done a good job. The only thing that I would like to address is the vinyl issue. I've got a few pictures here that I'd like to hand out.
Thank you. Oh, they're all the same. Oh, no, they're not. Like a family, okay. Oh, I see what you mean. I'll take one and pass it out. Yes, sir.
And I know that clearly there was apparently at least a couple of people on the planning board that had some problems with vinyl. I've seen vinyl that had problems. The thing is, I think there are, and by the way, you can tell from my gray hair, I've been doing stuff for a long time, and most of it's been development and building for close to 40 years, I guess. And it's correct that there is a trend toward the concrete board, the hardy type board, and there have been trends in the past. Things come in, things go out. All of you know that. There was a time when stucco was not allowed. A lot of the lenders would not make loans on anything that was stuccoed because of one or two products that did not hold up well. Private was the major one. It was not a good product. Finally, thankfully, stucco is one of the better products. It's been used in Europe for probably 1,000 years or close to it. Properly done, what I would call hard stucco using real cement, concrete, with wire lath is a very good product. Trying to think, there's some other things that have come and gone. Let me go through these pictures. And the first two pictures, the first four actually is some products other than vinyl. The first two is a concrete board. Now that is not Hardy. That's a different brand. This particular company had some problems with this. It's since come off the market. My point is that just specifying a concrete type board or some other product does not remove the possibility of it being installed incorrectly or a poor product. You'll remember polybutylene plumbing, I think. That was used. I used it, never had a problem, still don't have a problem. Somebody made some bad product. There was a good replacement in that case of PEX, and so polybutylene was pulled off the market. Now, the first two pictures are of a Hardy type board installed in 2006. I know the siding contractor that installed this. He's, in my opinion, the best one in the area. It was installed correctly, but it's still, it can be a problem. That would be allowed under your ordinance. The second or the third.
John, I'm sorry. You said that would be allowed?
Yeah,
Under the ordinance.
that would be allowed under the ordinance that's proposed, and it should be. I mean, a concrete board is a good product. There are applications that are appropriate for it. The next one, number 3, is masonite. That would also be allowed under the proposed ordinance. Masonite is generally a more problematic siding, but if properly maintained and painted often, it will hold up and properly installed. This, the Carroll Tax says that it was built in 2015, but it's older than that. It's probably 8 or 10 years old. It's probably never been painted. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't allow masonite, but that can be a problem too. The fourth picture and fifth picture, I think some of you have seen those before, I know.
Mm-hmm. Your daughter's.
I'm sorry?
That's your daughter's house.
That's Philip's daughter's house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was built in 2007, 1 year after the Hardy one was done. That still looks quite good. And that's a 44 mil vinyl, which if you're going to do something with vinyl, I would say I think it's appropriate to specify the quality, and you can do that in vinyl. You can specify 44 mil or greater. Number 6 and 7. Let's see if I've got 2 number 7s. Did somebody not get a number 7? Yeah, that's it. Anyway, that is a vinyl siding that has been maintained by pressure washing only. It was put up in 1987. That makes it 30 years old right now. Any of the other products other than stucco or brick, you will have had, matter of fact, on number 7, the upper part, you can't see it good on number 6, but the upper part is wood. It has been maintained. I think it's wood. It's hard to tell because it's been painted so many times. You can't tell if it's wood or a Hardy. I don't think it's a Hardy product because I don't think they were made back then. Anyway, I saw yesterday, I was at a house that I built in 1980
89. It has a little different vinyl lap siding, kind of the shiplap type that's got a little bit of a wave in it. It still looks very good. I didn't take any pictures because they weren't at home and I didn't want to be presumptuous enough to go around taking pictures. But what I would argue is that there is no perfect siding. Brick is the closest you come. The cost can be prohibitive for some folks, for most of us, depending on the circumstance. I would simply say that there are appropriate uses of the concrete board, like Hardy. There are appropriate uses, I guess, for masonite type material. I'm not too crazy about it personally, but I have seen it hold up well when it's properly maintained. But there are also appropriate uses for vinyl. And I do not think that I think it would be misguided somewhat to remove the possibility of using vinyl on new construction. We do not plan to use vinyl on the project we're building. The reason we do not plan to use it is because we have enough houses so that we want the ability to have more variation between them, because that is a limiting factor on vinyl, even though the 44 mil has quite a number of different colors. So I'm not saying this to ask you to let us use vinyl. I'm saying this from the standpoint of, I think that when some of the builders and the individuals find out they simply can't use vinyl, even a high quality vinyl like the 44 mil, I would certainly expect that you get some pushback on it. I think it's appropriate in places. It can be installed incorrectly, as any of the others can. If that's an issue, then, you know, have a discussion with the building inspector to be sure that it's installed correctly. But I'll be glad to answer any questions, but I just didn't feel like I should pass up the opportunity to say to share my experience in the different ones.
I thank you for this presentation. It's very informative, and I think we needed to know this.
Yeah, thanks for coming up, John. I just want to say thank you for showing us this stuff. I know you're a quality builder. You're known in the community as such. By no means, when I'm saying I don't want vinyl, that's because of anything personal. I think.
No, and I understand there's a lot of people that don't want vinyl. I understand.
Looking at some of these pictures, there's some cracked masonite in these, or concrete board in these.
Yeah.
I think having a quality trained, specifically possibly in siding, if we could get our building inspectors to have that sort of a training to make sure all siding, all new building in our city is getting built in the correct manner, because I'd hate to see a new building getting built like this for not just the home buyer but the community at large.
Sure.
So if we could look at maybe specifically some sort of training for our building inspectors, that'd be great.
I don't really think it's the building inspector. I mean, a siding contractor can come up and wrap 3/4 of a house in a day. Would you not agree?
I know.
It'd be almost impossible for Jeff to be there when each house was going forward.
But they can do that. They can do that on most different sidings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this number 2, the cement board siding. I mean, I know a little bit about cement board stuff.
Yeah, you should, I guess. But anyway,
it is
product,
fragile and it will break and chip out. And
it expands and contracts.
And just like concrete does, and it's like we were having a discussion. If you cut it, you got to seal the ends, or moisture can get in and it'll just delaminate. It's like, if you don't pre-drill holes and you'll fracture out the inside of it, and if you hit it too hard, you fracture the outside and creates a problem of moisture getting in. It goes to failure. And that's just, it doesn't fall on the product. I believe it falls on the installer.
Yeah. And I haven't seen an installer paint the ends.
I haven't either.
I've never seen one do that. But I'm not saying that it shouldn't be used. I'm just simply saying there are appropriate places for it to be used, but I think there's also appropriate places for vinyl to be.
What did you use on my house? Because I beat the heck out of
It
mine.
is.
It's not.
No, it is actually Hardy brand.
And it won't burn. It won't. I've hit it
No,
with
it
stuff.
won't burn.
I've run
It
into
expands and contracts,
Okay.
and I haven't been there. I don't know if there's any cracks or pull throughs on those, but
Nothing.
there's, you know,
I'm pleased.
there's pluses and minuses of almost any type of siding, and any of them directly installed and making provisions for the expansion and contraction. And vinyl expands and contracts more than the concrete does, but it overlaps, so it makes provisions for expanding and contraction. So, you know, and I have a stucco house, a hard stucco. It'll expand and contract a little. You put joints in it so that you control where it does. You don't. I've heard concrete people say there's two types of concrete: that that's cracked and that that's going to crack, because it's, you know.
True.
So.
Any more questions for John?
John, had I known you were going to speak, I would have called you. So I'm going to put you on the spot if you can't answer. I
can't
understand.
answer, I'll just say I don't know.
Just, I'm going to give you a hypothetical just so I can understand. Let's say, I don't care what size house, but you decide what 2,000, 1,500, 2,500, whatever size. But if you built house A and you put on vinyl and you put on house B, which is identical to house A, but you put on the hardy plank, what's the price differential?
The cost of it.
Yes.
The hardy would maybe be slight. There's very little difference. If you put the good, you know, the 44 mil vinyl, there's very little difference. The difference would be somewhere in the paint. You wouldn't have to paint the vinyl. The siding itself, the hardy would probably be a little bit cheaper than the vinyl, but then by the time you add the paint, it'd probably make it a little bit more expensive. But on like an average house, you're probably talking about not $500. I mean, you wouldn't
Just $500 difference.
Yeah, maybe $500 difference. You wouldn't go from one to the other hardy because of price. You'd go if it's a circumstance where you want long-term ease of maintenance and not having to repaint, then I would suggest vinyl in most cases, not in all cases, because there's places where you wouldn't. But I'm just saying I don't think it should totally be basically outlawed. I don't see that it's protecting citizens really.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
We talk about, we're comparing cost, but 5 years' time on the cement board, will it be repainted? You think?
The paints are better than they used to be, but if you use the standard builder's grade paint, as most builders would use, about 5 years.
So you're going to get 5-year life out of a paint job.
Yeah.
So over a 10-year period of a house ownership, you paint it twice from the time you buy it.
Over a longer period of time, the cost would be a little lower for vinyl. Like I say, there's not enough cost difference to
On the
really
initial front side.
make the decision based on. Yeah, be other reasons.
Have you had your customers say, you know, I'd rather have vinyl than hardy plank or any other siding? I mean, have you noticed a preference? Do they ask these kind of questions? I'm going to have this house for 20 years and I don't want to have to repaint it. So what material can you put on there? And then you say, oh, I'll put vinyl on there for you.
To be honest, most of them don't think about that part of it. There'll be some that specifically do want something, a particular one, and some that specifically do not want a particular one. I've had one that said, I don't want this particular type of commode because he had a problem in the past. But I just don't run into that mostly, to be honest.
What are we trying to accomplish here tonight? I mean, I'm about to die up here talking about some hardy plank and stuff. I'm ready to move on. I'm sure the audience is half dead out there, too. What are we going to do? No offense to you. I think you're a wonderful person, and you know that.
Okay.
And Leah and I, like, you know, go down like 4 flat tires.
Okay, Eric, come back.
I'm ready to amend it.
He wants us to amend it. Good.
I obviously will live with whatever you do, and again, I appreciate what you guys do. Some of you know I have run for office once before, and I appreciate the difficulty you face. Anyway, thank you for what you do, and thank you for your thoughts and deliberations.
Thank you, John. Now, do we have a residential section on the vinyl too? Is that right? Was it
It's already actually limited. You're not allowed to use it multifamily.
multifamily? I know,
Currently, you can't in the
but I think it was
ordinance.
4.0201 on design standard. Was it on residential?
Right. So what we did was we revised the residential and townhouse standard to basically eliminate it, and then we also basically it didn't address it in mixed use in O&I or ROI C2 and C3 and C1. And so what we did was we specifically called it out as not being permitted, but it didn't address it. It doesn't currently address it, I guess I should say.
Well, all in all, I like the proposal, except for the vinyl. And I'd like make a motion that we accept excluding the vinyl on the residential.
Do we want, if with a motion like that?
Single-family residential. Let me reclarify that.
So if I understand the motion, it would be to approve Resolution 06, 2017, striking the changes to, the proposed changes to 4.0201B6, which are the single-family dwellings and townhomes. There are also proposed changes to commercial, office, and industrial to prohibit vinyl, but is the mayor's motion
No,
leave those in?
To leave those in,
Okay.
and leave it on townhomes, just residential.
Are you specifically calling out a thickness of vinyl? I know John.
44 mil.
You want to leave? You want to allow 44
I
mil?
want to allow 44 mil. I don't think they make one higher yet. Do they make one higher than 44 mil yet, John? But do they make a higher than a 44 mil? A minimum of 44 mil then. How about that? But leaving it in place and everything else, just not residential.
All right.
Single-family residential.
And John, I'm speaking out of turn on this, but I'm assuming mil is the thickness. And is that short for millimeter, or is that a term of art in the business? Okay.
You may have already said, but is there a specific grade of cement fiberboard that we're putting into the ordinance as well?
I'm not aware of that.
Based on the photographs that you... Okay.
Okay. So what I think I understand the motion now to be is the motion to adopt Resolution 06, 2017 as presented with the following sentence added to 4.0201B6, which would read as follows. Vinyl lap siding with a minimum thickness of 44 mils is permitted.
On single-family dwellings.
So the mayor is suggesting that we strike the two sentences on B6. The way I read, there's two vinyl lap siding. So that stays, okay.
Is there still a maximum of 30% on any wall facing the street as it's currently written?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, well,
It's in there.
Just as it was written, except for the one little exclusion on single-family dwellings.
Okay.
Not townhouses, not apartments. I mean, just single-family. It's what I meant for my motion to say.
Not exceeding 30%, we're adding to your sentence, is that correct?
Does the 30% requirement, does that appear in the changes that we're proposing, or is it in another provision in the UDO?
It's in this particular provision. If you look on page 60, you'll see where you deleted it, actually. More than 30% of. So it's actually in this provision currently.
Are we just saying Mayor, are you just saying we go back the way it was written? No.
There was not previously a limitation on the thickness.
Okay.
Well, that we need a second. All right, one more time, Erica. I'm not following you on the 30%. As it previously read, it said vinyl lap siding may not be used on more than 30%?
Correct. Of basically, hang on one second, I'll grab the ordinance.
Facing the road, yeah. Just the wall facing the road. I think that's the way I've read it. No more than 30 on the front.
It currently reads, the exterior siding material shall consist of wood, masonry, concrete, stucco, masonite, or vinyl lap, or other materials of like appearance. Vinyl lap siding may not be used on more than 30% of the walls facing the street.
Okay.
That's how it currently reads. And that's for single family and townhouses.
All right, hold on. All right, now, as I understand the mayor's motion, it is a motion to approve Resolution 06-2017 as presented, with the following sentence being added to proposed 4.0201B6. These provisions notwithstanding, comma, lap siding with a minimum vinyl lap siding with a minimum thickness of 44 mils is permitted on single-family dwellings, comma, but may not be used on more than 30% of the walls facing the street, period. Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sounds good. That's what I was trying to say, Chuck. Thank you for making it legal. So.
All right. Well, it takes a village. Haley, if assuming that resolution passes, we will need to make that change before the mayor signs and before it's sent to MuniCo.
We have a motion, still don't have a second. So. Appears it dies from lack of a second.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 06-2017 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Assume there's no more discussion. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, bid award, Presbyterian Alabama Street Intersection Improvement Projects. Mr. Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Haley, if you would put the drawing of this intersection up on the screen, I'd appreciate it. I'd like to talk about the configuration because I know there are people here in favor and I know there are people here opposed. I'd like to talk about the configuration. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to give you the bid results before I talk about the configuration. This is a project that was discussed originally at our first work session of this administration in May of 16. And this is the intersection of, you've got a drawing of that, don't you, Haley? This is the intersection of Maple, Alabama, and Presbyterian. And again, just to get the bid numbers out of the way, we went out to bid on this project and we received 4 bids. We had estimated the cost at $600,000. The low bid was Jackson Paving at $572,083. With that said, I'd now like to talk about the configuration. What this does is it eliminates the red light at the Barnes and Maple and Alabama Street intersection. It makes Maple Street a right in, right out. In other words, if you were coming east on Alabama toward the square and wanted to turn on Maple, you could without a light, a signal light at all. It means if you're coming up Maple to Alabama, you may turn right onto Alabama, and there will be no signal. Similarly, on Barnes Street, that is right in, right out. If you're going west on Alabama, you can turn right on Barnes. If you were going from Barnes to Alabama, you can turn right and continue west. The square and this intersection have been analyzed by 3 different consultants, from URS, which is an international firm, to our local firm, Georgia and West. There's a representative here. And the third group was a group that the Greenbelt Committee brought in, and their name escapes me. It's been several years ago. Tool Design Group. They did a number of charrettes, and so this is the messiest intersection in the city, and if we are ever to do anything further on the square, this light needs to go away. And I don't want to speak for the folks in the audience, but I don't think the light is the issue. I think the one-way along Presbyterian is the issue, and I will get to that in just a second. The deeds are very messy in this area, and this area also affects the bank. So we approached United Community Bank, and we discussed the issues, and we got their buy-in. We agreed to build a ramp off Alabama so that their drive-through could be reached by people coming through the square and traveling west. And so they have bought off on this in writing and actually given the city more property at the intersection so that that curb will have the proper turn radius. We then dealt with the Presbyterian Church, and you will see there's property there in that actual triangle that was disputed. The ownership was disputed, and the parking was messy, and that has been reconfigured. This has gone to the session of the Presbyterian Church 2 different times, and they've agreed to this and signed off in writing. The property on the corner that La Tratria is in belongs to an entity that's owned by the Fulford family, and they have signed off on this project, again, in writing, and I have also discussed these changes with the owner of the hotel. So we have tried to do our homework, and I realize Bobby's here, and he's going to disagree with me, and you're right, I never discussed it with you, and you're right. But with that said, that is the issue of the intersection. The gentleman who's the photographer, he and I did speak, and and I'm going to let him speak for himself. I will tell you, we looked at the other part of this is to make Presbyterian one way, and we had our traffic engineers look at it, and I didn't have strong feelings one way or the other, but the best design was for it to be from Maple to Bradley. And we talked about could it go the other way, which would allow traffic off Bradley to come up to Presbyterian closer to Bobby's building and closer to the photographer. The traffic engineers did not think that was as good a configuration. And then our contact with the church has been Stacy Blackman, and she's been a pleasure to work with. And she did not feel that they would agree to that, and she felt that the premise was that the traffic flow again would be from Maple to Bradley. So again, that's the configuration. You will notice a brick paver crosswalk a little bit off the corner, a little bit toward the square, which is the safer configuration. You will notice a concrete island at each of the right-in, right-outs, and concrete and brick paving crossings there, and that's included in this project. We looked at some other scenarios for that, and that this looked like the safest scenario. The brick pavers are an indication, and this is what all the consultants have told us, when you pull into an area, you know you are in a pedestrian area. I have spoken with people that are very concerned about the square, and what they stressed to me is that they want to see everything there as pedestrian friendly as it can. This is the first step in making that the case. So let's put that. Yes, sir.
Are those speed tables, or are they just level with the surface of the street?
They're level, but they're brick, and then there will be one of those flashing signals like you see on Dixie Street or at South Wire at that main crosswalk.
But they will make a rumble when you go over. You'll feel
Yes, sir.
the rumble under your
And
car. Yeah.
I've been in Gatlinburg recently, and now theirs are not this nice a crosswalk. Theirs are actually stamped into the concrete, but they're brick colored, and they work very well. So it does exactly what Tool said it would do. It does exactly what URS said it would do. When you come in an area, if you have that kind of crosswalk, it sends the right message and makes people slow down. So again, that's the configuration, and then staff recommendation is this be awarded to Jackson Paving at $572,000.83. We've got the money earmarked. We've got plenty in reserves, and we're not, dipping into our reserves or anything like that. And everything's expensive now. That's the best way I know to say it. Thank you.
This is a question for our city attorney. I just want to clarify what we're voting on, because I'm getting confused. It seems like we're just voting on a bidding, but not voting for reconfiguration. Am I correct? Well, hold on. But on the agenda, all there is bidding. There's not some sort of about reconfiguration. I just want to make sure.
Personally, I don't know how you separate the two.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either, but I think that the bids were on this proposed configuration. So I don't know that you can separate the two, but Tim, you can tell me if.
If Bobby's got an idea that'd work, I think we could modify it. We just need to know that it would work. I think any of the contractors would allow for some minor modification. Okay. I don't know what it is, and I hope there is.
In writing with you.
I'm sorry?
I'd like it in writing with you.
What would you like in writing?
Whatever changes we make.
Bobby, you want to address it, Bobby?
Excuse me. My name is Robert McMillan. I live at 232 Griffin Drive, and I own the building on Preston Avenue. It's 104 Preston Avenue, and I've owned it for a while. I'd like to try to give y'all just a little history, and I'll try to be as concise. And if I get sidetracked, y'all can please ask me a question. We've had some health issues, but we'll do our best. I think everybody here at City Hall knows me pretty well. I worked under Lacey Campbell, or with her, Erica Studdard, which I don't think I can touch. And I worked with Mr. Grizzard, all in the P&Z. I used to be the chairman for about, at least 8, 10, 15 years. You could probably address that better than I can. I resigned due to some health issues, so this was brought up to my attention today by Mr. Winslet at 4:30. Nobody has contacted me, and I know Mr. Grizzard knows me. I know Mr. Connolly knows me. Most of you guys probably know me. I know Ms. Studdard does, but she didn't have anything to do with it. But anyway, my point is, I'm not hard to find because I know I've been called by Mr. Grizzard before. And at this time, I'd like to see this tabled until at least everybody here has had a chance to put some input into it. When I was a chairman for the P&Z, my job was to make sure everybody was on the same table, everybody got heard, nothing got ramrod down the path. It sounds like this one's being ramrodded to me. I haven't heard anything about it, and that's one.
Ramrodded. It's been
Yes.
in the paper. I thought, hasn't this been in the paper?
Do you not?
Hang on, Mr. Gross. He's got the floor right now.
Now, when I was chairman of the P&Z, it was always customary and part of the policy to send out certified letters to anybody that was contiguous to anything that was being changed. This is being changed. Now, one other fact I'd like for you guys to know, I ran a business out of that property for 32 years. Now, you may have got a lot of traffic folks in here, but I guarantee you, we knew never try to go toward the Presbyterian Avenue or Presbyterian Church exit. And I wouldn't even come in that way. I would only come in off of Bradley Street. And we had 38 people that worked with us in and out all day long. And that's the way we went. Now, there are a lot of changes, and I was involved when the city was looking at trying to redo the part in front of the church. I've even still got the plat. I don't know how I ended up with it. Now, it's been gone, and it's been a study by experts all over the place. Now, the church let, I think, a good opportunity go by. I believe there's a lot of changes that need to be made, but I don't see how this should be voted on tonight and just, I don't know, it needs to be tabled. I appreciate y'all's time. Sorry, I get a little upset. I mean, with this health issue, my emotions don't do so well.
I mean, I want to apologize to you personally. I do know you, and I could have called you.
I know you could.
We talked to lots and lots and lots of people, and we talked to your tenants, but I want to apologize to you personally.
I mean, I've got two wonderful tenants. I got Mr. Winslet, and I've got the Valentine's Foundation, and they have been very supportive of Carrollton, and I haven't had a chance to talk to them. I just know that this is an issue with them. I believe there's changes that can be made, but I'm not in favor of anything being signed off on tonight.
And I just want to tell you, again, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I did not mean to leave you
Yeah, I'm
out.
done with you. That's fine. I'll
Well,
talk
I'm
with
sorry.
Mr. Conley from here on out, and it'll be in writing.
Mr. McMillan, I just
Yes.
want to tell you this. We're not trying to ramrod this. Okay.
appears that way.
Well, we do put everything on the agenda. It has to be by 7 days, and the whole purpose. Let me tell you how things used to be. Okay, the agenda used to be published on a Friday at 4:30 p.m., and then the city council and the mayor would come vote on it that following Monday at 4:30. Okay, we've changed all that to make it 7 days now, in the hopes the newspaper would get a hold of it, in the hopes, and we changed the meeting time to 6 o'clock. We've been talking about it for a year. We've been talking to merchants. I just want you to know, I don't feel like we're ramrodding it. Now, I'm upset. I will say this, you being a constituent of mine, I am upset that Mr. Grinzer didn't reach out to you, but I think it was not intentional, or I think it really was an oversight, but I could be wrong, but I just wanted you to know.
I personally don't think he wanted to talk with me. Mr. Conley, am I correct that you used to send out a certified letter to anybody that was contiguous with any kind of change
We
with the
still
zoning?
do, but that's in with rezoning requirements.
So this method, you just, I don't even get the paper. I don't even have a landline anymore. So, guys, something's not right. Y'all need to change it. That's
bud.
it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Anybody else want to address this? Now, Mr. Gross, you're, okay.
I'm, again, Michael Winslet. My wife and I do own the business that we lease from Bobby on Presbyterian Avenue. Have been downtown for about 2 years now. Wonderful neighbors. But I do, the reason why I'm here is that I do think that creating the one-way street, I have talked with City Manager Grizzard a few times, and we sort of went back and forth about potentially the opportunity to turn it the other way, which I understand that wasn't in the cards. But we're at our office 6 to 7 days a week, and we have customers come in our business far more than the church has weekly meetings. You mentioned the consultants, everything that obviously they didn't know about our business, which is not anyone's fault, I guess. Maybe it was our fault that we weren't super out there, but again, we were on the books in the city, and we have city business license and all those things like that for that particular address. Making the street a one-way would cut off as Bobby mentioned, the main entrance way to the businesses on the street. Myself and the Valentines, which they don't have a lot of customer traffic, but we do. We have, we're not a high traffic business, okay, but we do have a lot of people coming from Atlanta down 61, coming up Bradley Street. A lot of our customers do come from out of town into the city, and they do come through the square, central point of navigation down off of Bradley and turn onto our street. Our building is 60, 70 feet off of Bradley Street. So because of the proposal and the way that the street is configured, they would really have to just drive all the way down through past the square, make a couple left turns. To me, that seems, I don't know how many turns it'll be really, and then come into what now, as I've seen the plans, I've spoke with the city engineer and saw a rough plan earlier, but it seems like they're just going to be pulling into a parking lot. Now, I don't know if the street sign, there's currently not a Presbyterian Avenue street sign on that side from what I know of. At least it's hidden enough to where I don't know where it is. But I would hope that they would add a Presbyterian Avenue street sign on the entranceway onto that street. The doesn't make a lot of logical sense for it to flow in that direction if it is a one-way. One of the biggest problems with that street is that the parking on both sides of the street coming down and people get jammed up and things like that. The reason for that, okay, now again, I'm not a traffic consultant, but I can tell you that I'm there a lot and I see a lot of cars go into the parking lot, they can't find a parking space, and then they travel down Presbyterian and park on both sides of the street. Okay, that creates the traffic problem. Unless the consultant has some other reason or form of any other thing. So from my understanding, the primary reason of making Presbyterian Avenue is the parking on the street. Okay, if it's to alleviate and reroute the traffic, to us, we feel like that's unsafe altogether. You're going to have more people coming down Bradley Street trying to make a technically sort of an unsafe and dangerous left or right turn at the end of Bradley Street because the cars park on both sides. And the limited visibility, we have customers that have almost gotten in accidents because they've tried to turn left up to the square or sometimes even right at the end of the street where you can't really see if there's a lot of cars parked on Bradley Street in those directions. Mr. Grizzard suggested that we instruct our customers to potentially enter by way of the city parking lot, but that's obviously less than ideal because our customers are going to have to navigate through the parking lot. That's also a higher pedestrian area, being a parking lot. So you're just going to have more traffic coming into that area with more people walking, trying to go around, get around to the one-way street. The other thing is that during events and things like that, they block off the street right outside of Councilman Byrd's business. And really, if that stays the way it is, people will go up the street and then they turn left onto Bradley to get, or Presbyterian to get around. So you're going to have people turning around in the middle of the street if they can't continue on up through to the back way of and get out Maple Street or things like that. We have signage on the square that points down Bradley Street to our business. That's really not going to be, accurate, and it would be confusing to anyone. If you can't get to our business from Bradley Street anymore, based on this proposal, the street and the intersection and improvements and things like that, it for us it's great, it's fantastic. We're very appreciative that you guys are making all the improvements and things like that. But this would be just the one big issue, for us and the concerns about, even just the people and the traffic and things like that. So that's what I mean. My obviously the best solution would be not make it a one-way street and control the parking by eliminating the parking spaces. And if there has to be parking spaces, remove all the parking spaces on the left side of the road coming down, where that causes the jam up because they're parked on both sides of the street. So to me, again, going back to the parking seems to be the problem and the reason for the actual one-way.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
So you're saying keep the enhancements, just take out one side of...
Yes, absolutely. We are not opposed to any of the traffic enhancements or the intersection or anything like that. The only thing that we are, have a concern with is the creation of the one-way street. It's not really changing any form or any part of the plan itself, constructionally or anything like that. It's just signage and some paint on the road, street, marking off the street signs, put up some signage and enforce the parking. You could speak to this because the back of your business
I absolutely hate.
If y'all would indulge me, I'd like to ask Tommy a question because he's actually our traffic expert. And Tommy, this may be the dumbest idea you've ever heard, but would there be any way to make that two-way to the edge of Bobby's building and enter the stop it one way at that point?
Listen, when y'all were posting this probably 8 years ago, that was one of the options that was being addressed. I mean, this is a major problem. It's mainly what Mr. Winslet's talking about. Is everybody parks on both sides of the street. They make a bottleneck. I mean, I've seen folks just in small cars get hung up in the curb here because they can't get by because somebody didn't have a place to park, so they just park wherever they could. Right. Now, there's all kind of options. If you kept it where nobody parks on the street, which I know takes away parking, and you made it to where there's only a right-hand turn off of Maple Street, I mean, there's ways to address this, but at this point, I don't believe they've been addressed.
I think it's something we could look at. The only problem is if we have two-way traffic going and it needs one-way traffic, we have to have some point for someone to turn around to go back.
Is that road wide enough to make it 2 lanes with no parking on either side?
I'm sorry. I don't. Again, I'm not a traffic guy, but I don't know the width of streets. But I did measure the street today, and it to me seemed like had enough room. If cars were only parked on one side of the street, that two-way traffic could come through. It would be tight in the curve. So maybe I would suggest eliminating the parking at least at a minimum in the curve, right? Because of the road narrows. But that I believe that it is wide enough to do that. Again,
And I want y'all to know,
guy.
I want you and Bobby and everybody to know that I feel your pain and I experience it every single day. And I absolutely dread that area. And I'm always caught there, always. And I almost have a near head-on collision every day. If I go there now, I'm going to almost hit someone head-on. It never, ever fails. And it's scary.
I apologize for letting my emotions get away with that.
And I do too, so it's good.
I do know for 32 years, people only parked on one side, and nobody ever got stuck. Now, there's always been an issue up there on Maple Street and going up to the squares. And there's no question in my mind that something needs to be addressed. But I do know that there's ways to solve this other than just this one way. I really believe you can make everybody happy, improve the community. I mean, I own a building up there, and I'd like to see the whole downtown do great. I mean, that's why I've invested all the money into it, redone the parking lot, roof, got great tenants. So anyways, I'll try to be quiet.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm James Gross. I own a Real Classic Italian Kitchen on the corner, and that's being discussed. As Walt would know, I drove the mayor's nuts with my questions during the election, and I was with Main Street and really pushed hard to make this happen. I apologize that you don't think this is being ramrodded, but we've been talking about it for almost 3 years.
It's been talked about for over 8, I know.
We've been, ever since the studies were involved, we got involved in it. When I opened in December of 2014, a lady was crossing right there where that red crosswalk's going to be. Another person made a right-hand turn, legal right-hand turn, and almost ran her over. Okay? In March of 2015, Miss Dee Dee Murphy almost got ran over in the exact same way. Okay? And that's when I came down to City Hall, talked to Tim, and that's been nearly 2 years ago. Okay? I'm a big proponent of making our square pedestrian friendly. This needs to happen in order to move into that direction. Okay? As far as Presbyterian Avenue, I've been discussing it for 3 years with anybody who've talked to me, customers, and it needs to be one way. But now that I hear your appeal, I understand that. And so as I asked Tommy just now, if there's a way to make it no parking at all and make it 2 lanes, that would be a fair compromise. Okay? Do we want to give up those 20 or 30 dangerous parking spots? You know, about a year ago, there was a United moving van stuck in that corner at 9 o'clock at night. I don't know how they got him out of there. Okay? So as long as we proceed with the repair on the intersection and a compromise can be reached with Presbyterian Avenue, I'd really like to see that happen. Thank you.
I'd like to just mention that I completely agree with your sentiments on trying to improve the pedestrian safety on the square. It's extremely important. There's a lack of parking. It's hard to find parking, you know, to go to businesses. So people have to get out, walk around, and it's extremely important for every member in our community to feel safe when they are walking around in our downtown area. I completely hear that. In terms of the pedestrian or Presbyterian, is there a way that we can have another meeting or a first meeting to be able to actually talk about maybe getting our traffic engineers in the same room to be able to have more open discussion to make sure that your voice is getting heard, because it's extremely important.
Well, I guess we can make a motion to table it. Is that what you're asking for,
Yeah,
Rory?
I think so. Yeah, I think let's go for that.
Tommy, I'm probably going to make a motion to table it, but I'm just curious, and I'm putting you on the spot. Would such a meeting just not be fruitful at all? I mean, is there even a possibility of making it a 2-way without taking the parking out? Or do you need time to study for it? If you want to say, man, I got to have time, I'd rather you say that.
Well, what if we changed the direction of the one-way? If it came off Bradley going toward Maple?
I've spoken with Mr. Grisser.
We looked at that, and again, it's going to have to go back to the church, and and we're dealing with Stacy. She's great, and I think she represents them well. She felt that because of the flow of children that they have coming out the side door on that church, that the line of sight was better if the flow went this way. And then again, the traffic engineers felt that the flow was better. And I think even Bobby's saying that it doesn't work well when it goes the other way. So, but Bobby's a very bright fellow. If he's got some ideas we hadn't considered, we'd certainly like to hear them. And he knows a lot about this downtown, and I think that'd be worth listening to.
You already made the motion, and I would like to second that. Oh, I thought you made that motion.
I said I might make it. Will make it.
I think everything's pretty moot until that meeting takes place. So we're wasting our time by sitting here going back and forth.
Thank you for coming up here and voicing your concerns, because we want to hear them, and we want to make sure that as many people are as happy with this project as possible.
Okay, I would like to move that we table item number 6, the bid award to the Presbyterian Alabama Streets Intersection Improvement Project, and that we move forward with a meeting between the city and anyone else interested and the Presbyterian family.
Have a first and a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor of tabling this motion until a later date, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Number 7, Mr. Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tracy Smith with our fire department and Tony Richardson and Tommy Hall and all have worked together for some time to capture some FEMA money. This is really based on the floods of Christmas Eve of 2015. The Ben Scott Boulevard culverts there in the school complex flooded substantially. There's a little over $600,000 available for this construction. We went out to bid, or Tommy went out to bid, to replace that with box culverts, and we received 5 different bids, the low bidder being Llewellyn Construction for $894,057.39. Haley, if you'd put those photographs up of these culverts, they're actually corrugated pipe. What would be put back as concrete box culverts. We have to do this while school is out this summer if we're going to do it. We have to do this before September or we lose the money. The reason I can't give you an exact number on the FEMA money, it's over $600,000, but if you've ever dealt with FEMA, we won't know the exact number until the check comes in. So the city contribution will be around $300,000 to do this project. I want to echo what Dr. Albertus said earlier. Very thankful for this staff and the work they do to capture this money. And there is an ongoing global stormwater issue along this creek that goes all the way up to Southwire. It affects Dixie. I'm not trying to say that the backup in these culverts is traveling that far, but I'm just going to tell you there are other projects along the way you're going to see through the years, and this is one of those important projects. So we recommend that you approve this with the contractor of Llewellyn. Llewellyn is the contractor that did the box culvert for the Greenbelt under Noonan Road and the box culvert work on Hayes Mill and most of the Greenbelt itself.
Haley, could you put the bids back up on the, please, ma'am? Llewellyn was $894.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion we accept the proposals on the box culvert for Ben Scott Boulevard.
Second.
Have a second. Any more discussion?
A big thanks to Tommy Holland and the rest of the city staff to help secure those funds. Thank you.
I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Item number 8, bid award wastewater grit removal project.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Item 8 is a replacement of grit removal equipment at the wastewater plant. This is equipment that removes the abrasive component of the wastewater that enters the plant. All wastewater plants have similar structures. This one was put there in 1988, so it makes it about 29 years old. When it was built in 1988, it was replacing equipment that was put there in the mid-60s, so that's kind of the life of the equipment. So we sent out an RFP for proposals from prospective firms to replace this equipment. I believe you have an attachment. So this is an evaluation of those proposals. The evaluation committee consists of representative from engineering, one from maintenance, and a couple from operations, with a combined 100 years experience. So the proposals were evaluated according to the criteria lined out in the RFP, and we recommend that you award the project to the one with the highest score, which was a score of 91 by Willow Construction in the amount of $1,435,000. The funds for this project are included in the current wastewater treatment budget.
Any questions?
Thank you for what you do every day. And Mr. Dyer in the back too. Thank you. I just realized that was you back there. So thank y'all and your entire crew.
I'd like to make the motion that we accept Willow Construction.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Ms. Studdard, I'm sorry. Appointments, Historical Preservation.
Yes, we have 2 vacancies that are coming up actually today. Both Dorothy Pittman and Tom Williamson have served multiple terms on the Historic Preservation Commission. Their terms expire today, May 1st, 2017. At this time, we were asking you for you to appoint 2 new members to the board. Dorothy and Tom have both served 2 full terms, which is what the UDO calls out. So they'd have to step down before they can come back again. They both served very well, served the board very well. I did reach out to the Historic Preservation Commission for some recommendations. I can give those to you, or if you have some folks that you want to recommend yourself, you just let me know.
Please give us your
I'm
recommendation.
prepared. No, I did. There were several recommendations given, and I reached out to Kelly Anderson and Carolyn Aycock. They are both downtown residents. Carolyn's actually in the district. Kelly's on South Street. I also reached out to Christy Garrett. Christy Garrett couldn't give me an affirmative today, and so possibly she could be considered sometime in the future. But both Kelly and Carolyn said that they both would be interested in serving. Richard Dement also was recommended. However, he does live outside the city limits. His permanent residence is outside the city limits, although he has done a lot in our historic downtown district. So he would not be eligible according to the UDO.
So we did pass something saying that if you live outside the city limits, you can't.
This is for the Historic Preservation Commission. It's been in the UDO, I think, since 2007.
We probably need to change that because Mr. Dement deserves to be on there. If he wants to serve, I think we should let him serve. He has done an excellent job.
He does. I enjoy
appreciate
working with
his
Richard.
work downtown. He's enhanced downtown. He woke up this end of the square, and it's absolutely stunning what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I applaud him.
I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a motion we accept the nominations from the Historical Society.
And does that include Mr. Dement at all?
It would actually be Carolyn and Kelly Anderson and Carolyn Aycock would be the 2 that.
2 are least interested in it, do you think? Would you say?
Both of them are interested. I did reach out.
So there's no room for Mr. Dement right now?
Not at this time, but there will be opportunities for new appointments at some point. But you would need to change the ordinance before.
Let's put that on the agenda for the next meeting if we can, because I think it's just a shame and a travesty to not be able to honor someone who's willing to serve like Mr. Dement, who has the expertise and knowledge to move our this commission forward in a positive way and in a progressive way. Thank you, Roar.
Thank you. I just want to make sure. I think I want to make sure what just occurred.
I believe the motion was the motion to appoint the 2 members that staff has recommended and that Roy seconded.
That's what I wanted to make sure. Okay.
I think what Gerald has asked is that we look at amending our historic preservation ordinance to include or allow for people who don't live in the city to serve. My only caveat with that is that there is a state statute, the State Historic Preservation Act. It's unlikely that it says thou shalt only appoint members that live in the city, but I do need to check that. But
Especially someone with a vested interest like Mr. DeMint, who owns so much property and has done magnificent work downtown.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
We, I just need to check and make sure, and then we can present something to the
Right.
mayor and council at the next meeting.
Okay.
So the actual motion on the table is to accept the recommendation from staff. All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Gets us down to item number 7, mayor and council announcements.
Be quick. I guess it's my turn. Thank you all. I would like to, first of all, talk about the food desert, which is in West Carrollton. If a person wants access to healthy foods or to nutritional things, and they don't have transportation, there's absolutely no way they can have access to healthy food. And that's not fair. But that's just how it is right now. But I would like to thank Mike Green, Peter Meyerhofer, Tim Grizzard for backing my idea to go over and plant a garden, which is quite a sizable garden. And the people of that area have helped us plant those plants. And things are up now. We're excited about the possibilities. And the beautiful thing about this garden is that it's housed inside Legends West. And at Legends West, there's a full service kitchen there. So I look forward to the exchange of ideas between young and old. I certainly want my mom there to teach us how to make greens, and maybe I'll teach her how to make kale. So we look forward to that. And we're so glad that we're able to provide nutritious and delicious food to the people of that area. And I would like to thank Joel Richards for his leadership in making that garden happen as well. And anybody else who was involved in the plowing, planting, and certainly to the neighbors of the area. We're not going to reach out for help. We're going to help ourselves. And I'm so glad to be able to teach independence in that area. Also, on June the 3rd, we're doing a Stop the Violence event at Legends West as well, where we're inviting mothers of children who have been lost to gun violence or any type of domestic violence. They're going to come out and speak, and there'll be performers there, and we look forward to partnering with everybody on that. Our Juneteenth celebration is June 17th at Legends West, and it's a handmade festival, and it's an opportunity for grassroots entrepreneurs to come out and show off the things that they're selling, and have an opportunity to gain profit and get the word out about their products. We have some talented people in this community who are making wonderful things and making a difference in this world, and we look forward to showcasing those individuals at Juneteenth. And if you don't know about Juneteenth, do a little research on it. Also, I would like to proudly announce, and Tim, thank you for this too, the county and city effort to enhance Legends West with barbecue grills, also with a sound system now. There was no sound system there at all, and better lighting as well to address those needs. And Legends West, as you know, is a park that's used by all people of this city, not just black people, but there's many different races. And if you go there now, you'll see that it's a place for all of God's children, a place where people are living in harmony and growing food. And I'm very proud of Legends West. And also, I'd like to thank Piney Grove Church for being here today as well, and for agreeing to partner with me on several endeavors throughout the city. I'm tired. I can't do it alone, but now that you're here, I'm re-energized, and I'm ready to face any challenges that we may have. I'm also proud of Printer's Ale over in the industrial park. I did not get a chance to go. Rory, I know you were there. I saw you on Instagram, but I did not get a chance to go there the other day. But I'm very proud to have that place in my neighborhood. Very proud of our industrial park as a whole. I'm very proud that it's back to life again, and it's vital, and it's thriving, and there's business everywhere. And I rode through yesterday, and I saw signs all over the place that said help wanted, and jobs. They're all over the place. So our city is thriving and doing well in that area. And I also would like to thank every city employee, from the smallest who pick up paper every day to those who do the big things upstairs. Thank you for everything you do. Everything you do is important, and everybody is important. And thank you to our citizens as well who follow me on social media, who send me words of encouragement every single day. Thank you to those who challenge me every single day. Thank you for those letters that we get in the mail that keep us on our toes. And that's all I have to say.
I'm probably going to steal the mayor's thunder and Rory's as well, but I just want to say congratulations to the Greenbelt and going to Hobbs Farm. That was incredible, and thank you, Tim, and thank everybody's hard work. And that was just great. So I'll be quiet because I'm sure somebody else will call and talk in greater detail about.
I'd just like to announce it or encourage people to come. I'm doing 2 town hall meetings in the next 2 weeks. One is a Run with Rory town hall. You can go out and interact with me. I'd love to hear any issues, concerns, words of encouragement. It'll be at the Hobbs Farm Park on this Thursday, weather permitting. I know it looks like there could be some thunderstorms, but ideally the weather will clear out and we'll be good. And I'm doing another one, a Walk with Wojcik on Tuesday, May 9th, same location, just a similar sort of thing, to try to encourage people to come out, think more creatively, thank you, and just engage with the people in our community, and hope to see people out there. And both of them are at 6 o'clock.
I would just like to say thank you for the Printers Ales people for inviting me out to do a proclamation in the grand opening, and also to the Daughters of the American Revolution that dedicated their wall at the Veterans Memorial Park on Sunday. Anyone that knows anyone served in the Revolutionary War, they're still looking for names and bios or something to go up for that. So if you know anyone, please get in touch with Donald Evans out at the Veterans Park.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got just a few things. The week of May 14th through 20th is National Police Week. A lot of events going on there. Joel may want to speak to that, or if you want to speak to him direct about it. Congratulations to Erica and Tommy Holland. They had applied for, and the city won a grant to install a sidewalk from Park Place Apartments over to the Greenbelt. That's $130,000, is that right, sidewalk? So you'll see that project go to bid and come to you for approval in the very near future. As you know, in the tornadoes the other week, our fire station on Brumbelow was damaged. We are waiting to hear from the structural engineer who works for the insurance company to tell us if that building is totaled. We think that it is. We will come to you with creative ways to rebuild that quickly, similar to the way we built and Tommy, again, I want to thank Tommy Holland. It's Tommy Holland night tonight. Thank him again for the work he's done with the building that burned over there at the rec department. Mayor Pro Tem Gerald Byrd has an art exhibit that the grand opening is this Friday at the Cultural Arts Center at 5 to 7, and then his art will be on display from May 6th through July 1st, and it's amazing. There's an example of it. Thank you, Tim. And that's about it. Thank you.
If anybody's throwing their cards away, my mom will take them, I'm sure.
This time we'll close the meeting. Thank you.